that doesn't mean you have to think it. Okay? And during tough times, you're a sitting duck for toxic thoughts. Thoughts can mess with our mind. Right? And you got to stand guard at the entryway to the mind portal and just dismiss. During tough times, I think about 9 out of 10 thoughts I have aren't worth thinking. And you just got to stand guard and say, no, I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to think that. I'm going to believe that God is present. And even more, I'm going to cling to the character of God. I'm going to think about who He is. When my friend J.J. Jasper lost his 4-year-old son, Cooper, in an accident, J.J. had to call the family members from the emergency room and tell them that J.J. had died. And I said, how did you do that? He said, as I got each of my other children on the phone, I said, I'm about to tell you some very difficult news. But before I do, I want you to think about everything you know that is true and good about God. Are you in the pit right now? You think about everything you know that is true and good about God. You let that saturate your mind. He is still faithful. He still saves sinners. He's still coming back. And a faith crisis comes out as like a locomotive on a train track. One way to get through that tough time is by being honest with God. Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane cried out with loud cries and tears, didn't he? Did you know there's a book in the Bible called Lamentations? What is a lament? It's a complaint. Can you believe there's a book in the Bible called Complaint? Why would God put a book in the Bible called Complaint and not to say, oh, it's okay if you complain, I can take it. It's okay to be part of getting through your tough times is getting honest with God. That might be the reason God brought you here this weekend, so you would know it's okay for you and Him today, before you pillow your head tonight, for you and Him to have a heart-to-heart conversation. You just talk to Him honestly. Pray your pain out. And then lastly, lean on God's people. Lean on God's people. Why don't you cancel your escape to the Himalayas? Forget the deserted island. I know you want to be away from people. And the last place we want to go during tough times is to a church. Or to be around church people. But this is no time to be a hermit. It's really not. Just the opposite. Be a barnacle on the boat of God's church. Here's why. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. The purpose of the church on the planet is to be the body of Christ on earth. During tough times, do you not want to touch the body of Christ? When you're grieving, do you not want to take the hand of Christ? When you're confused, do you not want to hear the mouth of Christ? When you're alone, don't you want to feel the arm of Christ? Well, then go where the body of Christ is. There's something mystical that happens, inexplicable that happens when God's people come together. The presence of Jesus is there. And He reaches through those people and He touches you. And the reason you don't want to be around those people is because the devil himself knows it. And if he can keep you away from God's hope distribution center, then he will keep you hope starved, and you will become hope anemic. For the sake of your heart and your hope, connect to God's people. When my wife was in her early 30s, she passed through a time of depression. We still had 3 children, but they were all small at the time. One was kindergarten, and the other 2 were in diapers. We just moved back to the States from Brazil, and so there was a cultural shift that was happening. And it was my first time ever as a senior pastor of a church, and so much was happening. And I didn't stay at home like I did. So it all worked together to just leave my dear wife in a time of depression. She calls those the days of the dark cloud. She said there were some days she could not even get out of bed. One of those days just happened to be a Sunday morning. I had already gone to the church building. She couldn't summon the energy to get 3 girls ready and come down to the church, and she just almost stayed home. But then she came up with this idea. She said, no, I'm going to go. But if anybody says, how are you today? I'm going to tell them. And she did. The first unsuspecting victim was in the parking lot. A lady saw my wife get out of the car with our 3 girls. Dylan, how are you today? I'm not doing well. In fact, I'm depressed. I'm discouraged. I'm not sure I can go on. That moment became a ministry moment, a heartfelt conversation in which one person expressed to my wife concern. She didn't have all the solutions, but she was sympathetic. Dylan and my wife went into the church building. Somebody said, Dylan, how are you today? I'm not doing well. I'm discouraged. I'm depressed. I'm not sure I can go on. Another heartfelt moment of conversation happened. This went on all morning long. My wife always shares this story, and she says, by the time I left the building that day, I had 13 different people who had committed to pray for me. Several of whom were older women who had gone through similar circumstances in their lives. And she always said, I wasn't healed that morning, but my healing began that morning. Why? Because she availed herself of the body of Christ. Let me tell you something. You're going to get through this. You are. Is it going to be quick? Is it going to be painless? I hope so. I mean, there was that occasion that Joseph woke up one morning in a prison, woke up the next morning in the palace. Sometimes it happens quickly, but don't we know most of the time God seems to take His time. And so I don't know how long it's going to take. That's out of my pay grade. But I do know this. God will get you through this. Because deliverance is to the Bible what jazz music is to Mardi Gras. It's bold, it's brassy, it's everywhere. God gets people through things, through the wilderness, through the Red Sea, through the Jordan River, through the Jericho War, through the desert, through the tough times, through the fiery pit, through the lion's den, through the cross, through the tomb, into the resurrection. God is a God of deliverance. And you know who you are? Well, you're a form of Joseph in your generation. And there's something about you that Satan wants to neutralize and silence. But you're not going to let him. You're going to keep a but God right in the middle of your story. Yes, evil's going to come, but God is going to take that evil and turn it into something really good. You'll get through this. Will it be quick? Painless? I know this. God can take that mess and He can use it for something good. So don't be foolish. Don't be naive. Don't try to treat long-term problems with short-term solutions. You just lean into God. And with God's help, He'll get you. You receive that?